All right, we're back. As I was saying, um, before, I completely did not forget about this project for 5 months. Hi there. Yeah, a lot of people I feel would say they took an artist's retreat, they took a sabbatical, they took time to find themselves. I was just sitting around, was watching TV, was doing the open mic thing, was just enjoying the nearly 2 quarters of 2026 that we're done with. Holy crap. You only get one life to live, and I feel like I'm going at a pace that I'm really anticipating my cockroach era. I'm gonna live it up as a roach. It's gonna be brief, but hopefully I get a crumb of something and I get smushed by a nice shoe. But yeah, no, I think the main thing that I've achieved is just doing more shows as a stand-up comedian and having more shows in the pike and getting to do more things. Gotten the braces off, been brace free for about 4 months now, something like that. And now I have my retainer, and I'm only gonna have to wear that for the rest of my life. Why can't we ever get like permanent fixes? Why can't we ever get permanent fixes and just have our teeth stay straight the entire time? There's always some little upkeep, some little task, some little chore, some little part of upkeep in our body. It's just sounding like a very protracted Seinfeld bit, where if your body was a car, you wouldn't buy it. And if my body was a car, I probably wouldn't buy it, but for much different reasons than just the upkeep. Anyways, straight teeth now. Um, and yeah, that's mainly what this segment of the podcast is going to be about, and I do use that term in quotations. Trying to think if there's anything else that I'm missing out of the year I've enjoyed so far. I pretty much went through all the stages of like a dating relationship type thing. It really, I don't know if it would ever fully matured into a relationship. It's like, what is a relationship, so to speak? We all have relationships technically with one another, but what what brings you from talking to relationships? What brings you from the cocoon of talking stages to the big beautiful relationship butterfly? God knows if I got there. I didn't. Um like I got dumped. I planned to go out with someone. We were like making plans. I was like suggesting like ramen spots, and she was like, yeah, we can just play it by ear, which should have set off like like an alarm bell in my head because she had been kind of taken issue with the fact that I did not plan dates properly, and a lot of it was improvisational. So I really should have been like, oh, the fact that she's okay with this really should clue me into something. But it was not to be, and for a whole myriad of reasons, which I'm not gonna blow up her spot like that, because she does follow me on all the platforms still, I think, except for TikTok, and we've like since kind of like buried the hatchet, so to speak, I guess. I don't know. I guess there was a hatchet on my end. I kind of so I was like prepared to save the whole thing. I kind of got these warnings and these conversations with her where, she was feeling like it was kind of aimless, like I wasn't, putting in enough to show her that I cared, and I truly did care about taking to a serious place. And so when things quickly kind of got turned around, I was just like, oh, man, like, you're not giving me a chance, man. Ref, throw in the flag. Um, But I've since received more information that kind of gave me a little more insight into why things ended, and I got closure from her. It was a weird feeling because I usually don't get closure from people, but I got closure and we managed to patch the whole thing through. It was very nice. Anyways, I'm not going to talk too much about that, except a little bit in every episode, I guess, from here on out. Um, and not too much because I would hate to put her on the spot. What I wanted to talk about mainly was the wonderful world of jaw surgery. I got two jaw surgeries last year that drastically altered my face. When I say drastically, I think it made my face go from this kind of lanky, hollow thing to a somewhat, I don't know, smaller shaped thing. I kind of went from like a squash or an eggplant to a pumpkin. That's kind of how I see the whole thing. A lot of people ask, when I bring up the fact that I had jaw surgeries, like, oh, bro, you get fucked up? You get into like a fight of some kind? Because in America, you can only go to the ER. You can only go on the surgical table if you've been in a fight, you know? No one goes in for surgery voluntarily. There must be something wrong with you that is necessitating this type of procedure. And for me, it was just orthognathic. Word I definitely would not have learned were it not for my experiences. It was just to correct my underbite. I wanted to look like one of the beautiful people. I also wanted to improve my dental health, which I think I've gone a long way towards restoring. I think in the beginning, back in the old days, I was just like, we don't have to brush our teeth if we're depressed. We don't have to brush our teeth if we tie. If we had a lot to eat and we tie and we lie on the bed. We don't have to get up and brush our teeth. I've definitely turned over a new leaf with that, and it's been great. It's been fantastic. Surgery's a nice, chance to get reacquainted with the hospital. Getting jaw surgery sucks because you don't get to enjoy the oh so delicious hospital food. It's such a joy to have FOMO of something you're pretty sure is terrible anyways. To just think, oh gosh, of all the procedures to get, I had to get the one that precluded me from having Bellevue squash. But it was not to be. I did have a nice little like liquid diet, courtesy of me. It was a nice time. Uh, it truly was. My parents were there. They're kind of in my life, all over it. My dad missed or didn't miss, but had to miss the release after my first surgery and felt terrible about it and just kept echoing that sentiment. I was saying, well, I had to go to Atlanta and da 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 da. And I'm just saying to him, like, it's fine. Like, this came together somewhat last minute. I really didn't even know I was going to get surgery until like a month before, maybe month and a half. I don't know. Bernie, my orthodontist, who worked for me at the NYU College of Dentistry, and I presume is graduating and going off to Florida somewhere to work as an orthodontist. Very nice guy. He really didn't give me any notice until a month before, a month and a half out. I really didn't know. He, had teased me like twice before the prior year, 2024, as you Gregorians might refer to it. And it was just like, oh, just like in a little bit you might get surgery. Oh, in this much time you might get surgery. And kept just having to put it off and put it off and put it off. To the point where I was just like, I really don't want to be teased anymore. I really want to be cut up. If I'm going to be cut up, you have to give me a solid, concrete answer. I don't want no surgery tease. Only give it to me if it's actually going to happen. And so finally, when he did, it was just like, okay, great. Like we're nearing the end of braces. We're nearing the end of this. stage I really should have gone through during adolescence if I had managed to stick with my palate expander. Oops. Past Brian. He's always fucking me. He's always screwing me over. But it was great. I got to have a nice little interface with him and my surgeon, Marvin Thomas, and he had, oh God, an attending. It was kind of like the one of the heads of the hospital, I guess. I kind of go over the risks of jaw surgery. Marvin, my surgeon, goes over just like, you're gonna just have like a loss of feeling in like your lips and your chin area, and it's like this is like a it's most likely to like come back like the sensation, like it's such a rare case. It's like 98% it all comes back, and you never like to gamble, and I especially didn't want to gamble like the second. It was just like he went over all the things, and he never once went over the possibilities like, hey, there's a chance that after surgery you might not still be done. You might not be done yet. You might actually come into the orthodontist's office and have your orthodontist say, yeah, you're 66% of the way there. Like you're not quite all the way there yet. Like we still need to get your jaw in place. Like my jaw was so nostalgic for where it once sat that it just wanted to revert a little bit. It just wanted to be a little off kilter. Like it's hard. You can't keep me in place and you can't keep my jaw in place. I mean that's how it is. So that was lovely. That was so nice. It was hard enough the first time. The first time when your head's the size of a goddamn pineapple, and you have to like keep a bonnet over your head. You have to keep that little ice pack thing just kind of tied to your head, just tied to your face, even though you're not feeling that much. Intubation was the worst of it. Intubation was the absolute goddamn worst of it, where you're just sort of like semi-conscious during surgery, and you're pretty much awake for nearly 24 hours straight, and you have this tube going from like your nostril all the way down like your throat, pretty much. And they still somehow expect you to breathe, and if you knock it out of place or whatever, then they gotta reset. You gotta do the whole thing. They have to like come in there and readjust it. You're never quite free. It was bad enough. I was saying to nurses and people in the room as I was trying to heal up in that little bedroom with SpongeBob blaring on the TV. I was just like, I can't breathe. I was saying with the tube, and once the tube got knocked out, I said I can't breathe, and the nurse there said, he says he feels free. I was like, it's great to do translation, especially if you don't know what you're doing or who you're talking for or what they're saying, pretty much. But they have a hard job at the hospital. It's like I try not to blame them too much, and you're stuck for options. Like that first week post-op, I was probably the weakest I had ever been. I was losing weight, losing energy. I had to pretty much. I don't even know how the hell I got to my first checkup appointment after surgery, where I had to travel all the way from where I am here in the Bronx, where I'm currently recording, all the way down to Bellevue on like Second or First Avenue and 33rd Street, I want to say, or no, 28th, and it's just an entire thing. Of just said like I have to go. I have to get out the door, even though I've had no food, of no nutrition. They say you could have soup, you could have smoothies. And after those take up the first 2 days, there's still 28 more days you have to consider and you have to use up. It's crazy. It just throws your entire gastrointestinal system out of whack. In the future, I hope they'll have some type of procedure for jaw surgery patients to get themselves the nutrients they need without needing to force feed themselves liquid food and liquid meals and shit like that. Was not fun. Was not fun at all. And I swear to God, I ended up constipated in the middle of it due to the surgery, due to due to the process they were putting me through. I did end up a little constipated. And so I was just thinking, oh my God, I feel so backed up. I feel like I need to let something out. And so my mom recommends drinking senna tea. Now, senna tea, for those who don't know, it's from an herb or some kind of plant that is supposed to help relax digestive muscles so that solid waste, hopefully solid, can actually pass through. And so I had about a mug of senna tea, and it kind of wasn't hitting. And so I think I partook in about two-thirds of another tea, and it's kind of like when you take an edible and it doesn't hit, so you have a little bit more of another one. It's kind of that moron logic, the the first time user logic, the senna tea virgin logic, where you get two-thirds way through that mug, and it's like, oh no, and it excised my bowels. The only problem was is that, okay, I had a rough night on the toilet for one night, and then I woke up the following day, and I was still I was still working apparently. I was going through like these shakes and quivers of my anus and my rectum area. It was just a constant game of shit tease where my body would just tease me into thinking you're about to take a shit, and then I would get to the bathroom and pretty much nothing would come out. It got to the point where I had the puppy pads or whatever for excess fluids after jaw surgery, and I would just have them around just in case like I need a little bit more needed to come out of my body. I was just like hunched over, crouched over in pain. It was a process that lasted maybe 5 or 6 days until I finally just said, we need to get to the hospital. And I went to a city MD clinic because that's what you do when you really don't have much insurance. And that's not going to be a situation that changes until I find some gainful employment or get myself with a company that has actually a solid plan. So if you're listening to this and you're hiring someone who's had a ship problem, I'm here for you. I go to City MD for my explosive, near mortal diarrhea, and they just recommend I just go to the ER immediately at the Allen. And so I get there, and I think their diagnostic is that my hydration was low, and I'm just thinking, already, like on a regular day, on a regular basis, I probably don't hydrate as much as I should. And so they hook me up. They put me to an IV. They give me about a couple bags. So I'm just kind of sitting there waiting for water to just kind of flood through my system. I'm sitting on my foot because my butt's still goddamn shaking. I'm having to overhear the nurse tell some woman that she's pregnant. And she's like, oh Lord, like, oh fuck, like this was just a situationship. Um, and I'm just sitting there. I'm sitting next to one patient who, also has a bag, and I'm anticipating them, wheeling me into another place to for a procedure. I'm sitting there with my bag, and she seems to be getting through her IV bag faster. And I just thought, oh man, and they wheel her. No, 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 no. They I didn't even get to see the end of that bag. They wheeled her off before she finished it. I assume she finished it. I don't know. I have weird little anticipations. My autism makes me have weird thoughts, and I'm going to blame the autism and not look inward at all. Um, and so finally, I just get out of the hospital, and I'm still a bit brown, a bit queasy, a bit shaky, and I take some Imodium tablets. I might have taken some Pepto too, and some combination of that seemed to finally get me into the solids again, at least, and get like the solid matter that I knew was in my system. The Senna was working overtime on my system, and I feel like it kept working on me because it could sense there was something lodged in me, but it wasn't coming out. And I knew it was in there, but it just couldn't come out. It was just days and days of split pea all caked together. It was the Ensure. I had lots of Ensure during this time period, which you're apparently supposed to cut that with water. You're supposed to have like water in between your Ensures, which I had no idea at the time. I really feel like they should put that on the label, on the bottle. It's like, have some water with this, or your asshole will do crazy things. I feel like that's only fair, but maybe I'm speaking out of left field here. I'm just realizing how tinny this sounds. So, if the audio quality of me talking about my diarrhea, shit, and asshole is sounding unpleasant to you, I'm sorry. I really will get a better system soon. Hopefully, knock on wood. Anyways, back to doing the pod. Um, but yeah, that feeling of dread, because it's like you go through the liquid diet, you go through that health storm, you survive somehow. You're 10 pounds lighter, but you're not happy about it. And, you're like, I have the braces on, I have these bands on. By the time I'm graduating to soft food, I'm just like, getting a loaf of bread, tearing the bread up piece by piece, and just getting it into my mouth like I'm a coin operated machine. And these little pieces of bread are quarters or dimes and shit like that. I'm just so hungry and just so desperate for solid food. It is an experience that I'm glad is over with. I'm mostly sad about the process of time passing and aging, but I was so glad to be done with that part of my life. And then I had to do it again. I had to go into that orthodontist's office, and he had said, "Yeah, you're not where I want you to be." And the guys who oversaw my surgery and the head of oral surgery at NYU at the NYU dentistry himself, Dr. Glickman, uh, acted very confused about the situation, which I fully myself didn't understand because when I came out of surgery, I seemed to see where my teeth kind of sat on each other, where the two pieces of my jaw pretty much sat on top of one another, and I thought that was normal. I thought that was the result that we were going for, and apparently that wasn't it. And he had sort of acted like, well, maybe you came off of bands too early. Maybe it was her body. We'll never know. And I'm just like, I just want somebody to say the surgery. The surgeons didn't do their job. The surgeons didn't do the full completion of their job. They got me most of the way there. I will give credit to them for that. Like, I'm not gonna be a hard ass. I'm not a litigator. I don't have money for a lawyer or anything. Just tell me the surgery got fucked up. But they're not going to admit any liability, and they're going to stick to this band story, even though I was probably out of bands for God at most 2 weeks. I don't think it would shift that dramatically. I've never taken a single oral surgery class in my life, but I feel this in my gut. There's some things you don't need an education for, and instinct is certainly one of them. And so the bad news is I have to get this procedure done over again. I have to go through this recovery process all over again. There's a slight upside that it gives my dad the feeling that he hasn't quite missed the window yet. He can still see me in pain and physical pain. Um, I later learned that he actually posted a picture of me post-op, which I don't know how comfortable I am with that. I wish he had asked me. Um, but I pick my battles with my parents. I just I can't. You can't fight every goddamn thing. Um, but so yeah, I get my second surgery, and thankfully this time, it seems like it's going to stick, even though the fact that I've had two surgeries has kind of given me the insecurity that I need already to just have a fear of jaw surgery or needing jaw surgery. I'm all these this way. past post-op that I'm still feeling like, oh, am I gonna need number three? But my second surgeon, Sanjay, convinced me that it's really rare in these instances to get three surgeries. And kind of just want to say, hey, ready to beat the odds. So if I'm going under the knife a third time, I think I'm going to Vegas. But yeah, that was the 3rd of July that I got my second surgery. They were they were playing games. They were gonna try just like, is there any way to schedule this late? And I'm just like, I wanted to schedule it with some immediacy because I didn't want to have too long a recovery period. There was still this person I was trying to see, and some like ill-fated like romantic thing that wasn't going to ever take off. Um, and I really just should have been focusing on my body and my health and my recovery. Hopefully, I sound clearer. I know oral health has become a lot easier. My jaw is somewhat smaller, my mouth somewhat smaller, so less real estate for the old toothbrush to cover. I sound like the corniest motherfucker in the world. Um, but yeah, no, it was great. I think for my next surgery, I'm definitely getting something on another part of my body that doesn't eat. It's not as if the hospital will provide complimentary foot rubs. You know, I really have to focus on getting a non-mouth, non-gut ailment so I can get reacquainted with a nice little hospital sandwich pudding. Or that ginger ale I got when I was getting the fluid put back into me. That was kind of nice. With their crushed ice and their styrofoam cup with the hospital branding on it. That's something I go nuts for too. It's the hospital swag. It's just a little item. Just because it has the name of the hospital on it, it just seems like a cool thing to get. Like how a Mets fan gets their Mets jersey, Mets cap. I was just like, go Allen Pavilion, go Bellevue. Anyways, trying to see if there's anything left to cover. I think I mainly got most of it. If I go to another hospital again, it'll be too soon. The person strapping me in definitely said, "Oh, there's like a tall drink of water." I really didn't fit on the table all the way. I was a little concerned I might fall off. They definitely had to strap me in. I was like, "That's a good precautionary measure because would hate to fall over in the middle of you operating on my bones and blood. That would just be so embarrassing." Um, but yeah, no, I have this new lease on life, hopefully. I expected it to be massively different. And I guess in some ways it is, but in some ways I've almost grown so used to it so quickly. Like this is just my life now. I just have a different mouth and a slightly different face. Slightly more pronounced chin and jaw area. Really chiseled. Can't thank the docs enough for that. That's what Medicaid gets you, is that you don't always need to go to the far off places in California and Florida to get the best plastic surgery. Sometimes you just need to be horse shit and on the horse system. Get the surgeries done at the public places, the schools and such. They'll fix you up nice. Definitely ask for Sanjay Narain. I think he's the only guy who really knows what he's doing there. He's the only guy really I don't feel like ever tried to tell me something that wasn't true or didn't give me any like non-solid answers. I joined Facebook groups that I'm now forever a part of. Jaw surgery support group. Um, loved ones with orthodontic support, shit like that. And I think I gave them like one final update. I really haven't posted there in a minute. Um, I did post like make one post prior to surgery, and I on Facebook, and I got the comment of hottie, and that definitely put a little self-esteem in the tank there. I was just like, oh man, Martina from Arkansas likes me. This is great. This is fantastic. But yeah, no, that's my new lease on life. And I won't ramble on for too much longer. But I do want to commit myself anew to actually making something out of this podcast. Talking about some contents that have had backlog. There's a whole spiel on braces I'd love to go on to. And part of this is just to sort of go over material in my head because anything that causes me pain or discomfort or distress in my life, it can always be made into content for the stage. Just look out for my one man show about jaw surgery. It's going to be a hoot. I'm going to be a compelling narrator for it, though. Sometimes I worry I bore people with the minutiae of this detail. It's like, here's this personal thing that happened to me. I was like, yeah, okay, that's great. But yeah, no, it's fantastic. I'm never drinking senna tea again. That's for fuck sure. Hopefully I'm a little gastrointestinally better these days. And you know what? If I set one goal for my life in this year, it's not to be a success at comedy or acting, because God knows if I can make that fucking happen. But it's just that I have good poops this year. That I have an okay tummy, a settled one, a settled stomach. And what can I tell you guys? I'll see you in 4 months. Hopefully sooner than that. Hopefully sooner and of a better sound quality. So you can really hear the crisp tenor of my voice just describe the shits and everything like that. TMI, I don't know, man. You're the one who clicked on a fucking video about jaw surgery. Maybe you should stop listening to my life.